In less than a month, voters will head to the polls to decide who will be the next Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice. The election on April 1st is between Waukesha County Circuit Court Judge and former State Attorney General Brad Schimel and Dane County Circuit Court Judge and former Assistant State Attorney General Susan Crawford. We have invited both candidates to talk with us. We plan to hear from Brad Schimel on March 27th, and Judge Crawford was able to join us today. So thank you for being with us. Appreciate that.
My pleasure, Judy.
So I should also say welcome home. You were a
Yes.
Chippewa Valley native, grew up in Chippewa Falls, and some time ago we had classes together at Chi
right,
High.
at Chi High, right.
Want to full disclosure there, I guess.
Yeah.
So how do those Chippewa Valley roots kind of translate to a potential role as a state Supreme Court justice?
Yeah, well, you know, Chippewa Falls is a great place to grow up, kind of community where people know each other and watch out for each other. And, you know, I grew up there with my two brothers and my little sister who had some special needs. So I grew up watching out for my little sister. And, you know, we just had to work hard together as a family to, you know, go through some struggles as all families do. And I think it really taught me a lot about hard work and honesty and the importance of just sticking to your principles. So I think those are really important values in this race.
Sure. And the latest Marquette Law School poll that was out yesterday didn't really ask voters specifically who they would vote for,
Right.
but it did show that the poll showed that they don't know enough about either candidate.
Yeah.
So I guess what do you plan to do in the next 4 weeks to change that?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be traveling all around the state, talking to as many voters as I can in person. And, you know, I hate to say it, but TV ads are the way that a lot of voters are going to get to know me. And I hate that because it's only 30 seconds and you just have such a limited opportunity to tell somebody about who you are. But we're going to be reaching out in every different medium, TV and radio and digital ads and so forth, plus me talking to as many people in person as I can to get the message out.
Sure. And going back to those ads, a lot of those ads are not so nice.
Yeah.
Some of the attack ads on both sides. And for many people, the impression they get about you and your opponent are from those ads. So how do you make those decisions on what content to use?
Yeah, well, I think there's kind of a balance there, and I have a great campaign team, and largely I rely on them to figure out what we need to emphasize in the ads. Of course, I like the positive ads better. I like the ones where I'm just talking to the voters directly and telling them about my background and my values. But it's also important to get the contrast across and tell something about my opponent's record and the reasons that we think voters should not put him on the Supreme Court. So it's a little bit of both.
Right. And so why do you want to be a Supreme Court justice? What would that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I've worked throughout my career, first as a lawyer and now as a judge, to protect Wisconsinites under our laws and Constitution. Starting out as a prosecutor at the Wisconsin Department of Justice, I was taking felony cases all the way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, making sure that our communities were safe and kids were safe. And then I was a lawyer representing ordinary Wisconsinites in our courts, protecting things like voting rights and workers' rights and the rights of women to make their own health care decisions. And now I'm a judge, and as a judge, I make sure I'm applying the law to protect people, and being on the Supreme Court is an opportunity to kind of take that to a statewide level. I've always looked for ways that I can use my experience to do the most good.
Sure, and with all this attention, the issues is nationwide, the money and the ads in this race, it has become highly partisan and politicized, even though it is a nonpartisan race. How do you bring that back to the center, I guess, to commit to neutrality?
Right. I've really been working on that from the start. I've always said that I'm running to be a fair, impartial justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I won't tell anyone how I would decide any case, because judges can't do that and really should not do that. We have to stay open-minded until a case is ready for a decision. My opponent is not doing that. He's taking positions on cases like there's an abortion case in front of the court involving an 1849 law that would criminalize pretty much all abortions in Wisconsin that he said is okay. And other cases in which he's taken a position, and judges really don't do that and shouldn't do that. So I'm really trying to make this race about my values and about my experience and why I'll be a fair judge who's going to protect Wisconsinites on the court.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure being here, Judy. It's great to be back home.
All right. And once again, we want to mention that Brad Schimmel has agreed to an interview on March 27th. And we'll be right back.